The first article is related to Rakesh Sood, and it is about engagement with Pakistan. India's engagement with Pakistan, it is always filled with lack of coherence. Now, let us evolve this lineage of engagement, how it has come into existence. 25 years ago, during the VP Singh era, for the first time, confidence building measures were started between India and Pakistan. And then, during IK Gujral era, we have given a concrete shape to it as the composite dialogue. Then onwards, every Prime Minister, one or the other way, stuck to this framework. Recently, this framework is revisited as comprehensive dialogue framework. So, in this context, from the later Prime Ministers, they tried to engage the Pakistan, and also this talk no talk dialogue or dilemma always continued among the minds of the Prime Ministers. So in this context, if you see the real politic, the engagement or the dialogue with the Pakistan is the only way forward, and any progress which has achieved it is only through the dialogue. So in this context, India economic growth will get unnecessarily affected if its foreign policy becomes Pakistan centric. And India's engagement is also gets confined to South Asia if it excessively focuses on Pakistan. So that streamlining the dialogue with the Pakistan is very much in the national interest of India. Added to that, as Prime Minister Vajpayee declared, a stable, peaceful Pakistan that is prosperous is very much in India's interest. So, these days, the Prime Minister's Neighbourhood First policy also has given due recognition to the Pakistan. But however, non-state actors and growing terrorism is throwing a huge challenge to this. So in this context, the rising expectations due to engagement and the media glare, it is posing a new challenge. The recent NSA level talks and also the Foreign Secretary talks, these are out of the media lens and they are taken a very smooth progress. So in this context, the choice for India and Pakistan is how to take forward the talks rather than either to engage or not to engage. So this lack of coherence has to be addressed for the long-term economic interests and also the diplomatic interests of the country. Now, Suhasini Sridhar article, this is another beautiful article. So what she talks about is this one. India, can it take forward the engagement with Pakistan through China? Or India can use its good offices in China to pressurize the Pakistan to move away from the terrorism and to act strongly against the non-state actors who are using the Pakistan as their ground for conduct of the terrorism abroad. So here in this case, the first reason is that China has a huge leverage with Pakistan, and after China-Pakistan economic corridor, it has increased further. And the second is, India has to ensure that the China-Pakistan shall not engage further, or else their strengthening of their relationship is not very good in the context of India. And China sees India as a part of China's containment by the United States and Japan. So the recent Shinzo Abe visit and the January 26, 2015, the President Obama visit, it sees it as a development of an axis against the China. So India has to ensure that its interests are no way connected to the containment of China. If you also observe the joint declaration of President Obama and Prime Minister Modi, it talks about a joint vision for Asia Pacific and Indian Ocean region. It has specifically talked about the freedom of navigation and overflight in South China Sea. Till now, India-USA dialogue was confined to the South Asia. For the first time, it has extended beyond the borders of South Asia. And in this context, China's fears have got increased with regard to the containment and involvement of role of India. And the China's role is also increasing in our neighborhood, which has led to the discontent and displeasure with India. So, Many of the South Asian and Central Asian countries now see China as a stabilizing force in the Asian region, which has a long-term interest in developing the infrastructure and development of this region. So, the China can yield an effective pressure on the Pakistan to get away from the terrorism. The reason being is China also in its Xinjiang province, it is facing the same terror threat. So in this context, India can use its good offices in China. And the free basics, if you talk about this, the free basics of Facebook, it has raised new questions and new consciousness in the country. The first is in the Western countries, the slogan is Internet as a right. So India is also moving towards this pattern. So for all the people, including middle class, they argued that Internet shall be given as a concession to the poor. So the connectivity has to become a basic right in India. And the second thing is, Internet is not just seen in a pure market terms. Internet is also seen as a social good, a tool for the social good. So in the public interest, it has to be regulated rather than being left free for the private players. The third thing it talks about is much wider of implications. If you see the Facebook, how it has tried to manipulate the discussion on the free basics, it means it tried to abuse its superior position as a social media platform for its own self-interest. So in this context, tomorrow it can use its platform for its vested interest too. So in this case, the platform neutral approach is something which has been talked across in the globe. And this discussion also has started in India. So, one is Internet as a right. The second is Internet as a social tool. Finally, platform neutral approach. These are the three important discussions that have started. The World Development Report, it has something important to take forward for us with regard to the digital divide. Please update your notes on e-governance based on this. The digital divide is increasing across the country, and the new class of citizens, underclass, who do not have digital literacy have come into existence. And next is, the digital dividends are not reaching equally to all the people, and there are many working class also. A work divide is increasing because of the digital penetration. The high skilled and no skilled people is raising the inequalities. And also it spoke about the big data such as Aadhaar projects, which may violate the rights of the citizens. And engagement of the citizens and government, that is digital citizen engagement, it is being facilitated by the non-governmental organizations. This is what is, I paid a bribe, I changed my city, these are the various examples. So, a poor business climate and also the vested interests, these are blocking the digital adaptation in the country. So you can use this squarely, the World Development Report 2015, to update your e-governance notes in the case of the e-governance syllabus. Canada-India Free Trade Agreement. Now, the first major disagreement between these two countries is FIPA. These are the disagreements not only with Canada, it also with the European Union. You can feel free to talk about this with any of the developed country. So, the Canada wants to protect its investors and investment that flows into India. So, Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement, it wants India to sign before the signing of the Free Trade Agreement. Now, the second thing is, in India, the judicial system is very slow. So that brings in forefront a dispute settlement system. So private sector or investor state dispute settlement mechanism. In this case, what India wants is all the options of dispute settlement shall be exhausted in India to access the international tribunals. The Canada is feared that with the existing judicial delays, it may cause huge losses to its investors. And the third thing, the policy which is related to tax. If tomorrow government makes any changes in the tax policy, it shall not be automatically applied to the Canada because the loss tomorrow that may cause disadvantage shall not displace the existing agreement. It means tomorrow if the government raises the taxes that are not supposed to impede or that is not supposed to fall on the Canadian investors. And most favored nation plus and ratchet, these are the two other things. So what is MFN forward means? Tomorrow if India comes into free trade agreement with any other country and it offers any liberal benefits to it, these will automatically shall apply towards the Canada. Similarly, ratchet means if tomorrow India liberalizes its policies, then these liberalized policies shall apply to Canada. It means whatever the positives have come up in the policy framework shall apply. Whatever the negatives, they shall be withheld from the free trade agreement. It is also vice versa for India. But however, India fears that its policy space will be decreased, so it is not willing to take it forward. Incremental steps not enough with regard to the defense procurement policy. Now, the important points are, the new category is created, that is, indigenous design, development and manufacturing category for the defense procurement. Under this category, if a particular design is made in India and procured from India, then 40% of the value from India is liable or is eligible for defense procurement. And if it is not designed in India, 60% of the value addition in India is eligible for defense procurement. And it is given the utmost priority. And the second is, the private research will be encouraged by the defense Department of the Defense Procurement. And small medium enterprises will be given a special category towards encouragement to the defense industry. So now, if you see Stockholm Peace Institute's research, India is the second largest importer of the arms. A country of such a size of India is the only country that is dependent on imported arms. So this total military imports are bound to increase to $100 billion in the next 10 years. So in this context, military industrial complex development is very critical for India. But India is more and more dependent on the foreign vendors. And at the same time, the defense procurement policy is not totally addressing these requirements of the military industrial complex. Because most of the industrial establishment in India is in the public sector hands. And they act as a drag on the economy and hindrances towards the development of the private sector. If you can clearly see with regard to recent Russia, manufacturing of Kamov, it don't want to go with the Anil Dhirubhai Ambani, that is EDA Group, but it wants to go with the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. And these public sector enterprises more like an assembly units rather than a real research going on in them. And the benefits which are being offered to the foreign vendors, they are not being offered to the local vendors. A foreign vendor can declare or can give a self-declaration on the progress of the project, but Indian vendor, inspector will come from the government to verify the project. Similarly, the customs import duties will be automatically reverted back to the beneficiary or foreign vendor. But with regard to the excise duties, Indian manufacturer, he has to go and submit its report and he has to get the approvals for that. It means there are many bureaucratic bottlenecks for Indians to manufacture the defense equipment compared to the foreign vendors. These structures are not changed fundamentally. And a new crop insurance scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Under this, the premium that has to be paid for the crop insurance is dramatically reduced. With regard to the Kharif crop, it will be 2% of the crop value and 1.5% for the Rabi, and for the horticulture and other crops it will be around 5%. Now the coverage will be increased to total 50% of the total crop area. And next is government plans to boost water transport. So in this case, water transport is the cheapest way of navigation and logistical movement. But in India, the water dependency is very less. So coastal shipping and water bodies, this is what is going to be developed in the country. So in this context, the government is going to raise the investments to the tune of 15,000 plus crores with regard to development of the waterways in the country. And Obama and his final years in the office. So what is the legacy of Obama? The first thing is the diplomacy of the United States has moved from unilateralism to multilateralism. It is visible with regard to Iran nuclear deal, visible in the case of the climate change talks, etc. So America is nowhere behaving as a super cop of the world, but it is trying to take forward its goals and vision in engagement with the other countries. And second is Iran nuclear deal and renegotiations or engagement with Cuba. These are the two positive developments on the diplomatic front. But bilaterally, the relations with China and Russia, they are stagnant or got worsened. But the major victory is on the economic front, where the revival of the economy has happened. And American economy is now robust compared to many other countries. Now in this context, in his union address, President address to the union, what he said is there are 4 guidelines for the future. That is, the middle class economic opportunities need to be created. The technology is the basis, can be the basis for the America's growth. And the politics of the country has to be inclusive. And finally, Americans' safety has to be protected. So unnecessary military interventions have to be avoided. These are the suggestions which have been given by the President Obama. So finally, at the closure, as I said before to you, so we are moving towards a more or better acute platform, that is civilsprep.com. Here you don't see any advertisements, no, I mean this is a very clean and safe platform, and I felt impressed by it. And you can also take a look and give your free suggestions. So slowly we transform ourselves into civilsprep.com, and you can register there or log in with your Facebook IDs. I suggest you to better register over there so that you get the updates. And also I recommended them not to send the updates as some 5 to 10 mails every day. There has to be only one mail to the student about this particular video. And I have also started recording of the second ARC reports. At least after recording 5 to 6 videos, I will submit those for you. And I'm going to resume this answer writing practice because of this festival and some other traveling commitments. I did not do these answers, videos on these answers. So I bring a systematic approach towards all these things. So we welcome the civilsprep.com, and the people are good over there. Thank you very much.